Oh, look, a bear. What does the Russian do? Try to make friends with it for some strange reason. Yep, as of course, that is video of Putin's investment envoy leader trying to say hi and then saying, hopefully this is a quote, good sign here as the meeting of the decade is happening right now between Vladimir Putin and Donald Trump, as we've got some key details and insights into what is being negotiated, into the deal that's being made here that's going to be very heavily focused on the financial aspects of cooperation, of working together, as already there are mutual symbols being sent out by Donald Trump, by Vladimir Putin, talking about a larger cooperation. This as the Ukrainians have just made two major moves that could hinder all of this. One of them involve Iran here, as even Hillary Clinton is saying, if Donald Trump could pull this off, even Hillary Hill Dog herself, with all of the friends around her that go missing, says that she would nominate Donald Trump for the Nobel Peace Prize. What did she really say? What did she really mean? We're going to be playing her comments, going into a lot of the kind of geopolitical updates here, all in this video. And if you appreciate that, subscribe, click the notification button. We greatly appreciate all of the time that you're willing to spend with us. As that same guy that you just saw rushing towards a bear, Kirill Dmitriev, just came out and looks pretty happy meeting with Witkoff, the main envoy for the United States. As of course, Kirill Dmitriev represents the Russian Direct Investment Fund, who is taking part in these negotiations. This is the photo that was just posted with him and Steve Ithoff saying, quote, we will continue our work with U.S. President Donald Trump's special envoy, Stephen Witkoff, and the American delegation led by President Trump in Alaska today, Dmitriev wrote. And the two look pretty happy here as they are shaking hands here. Now, there's some Russian journalists complaining about their treatment. No one really cares about journalists. Not really a big story for me personally, even though that's what we're all kind of seeing on social media. Whatever. They're journalists. They should be used to squalor, especially in the circles that most mainstream journalists hang. But again, the conversation I shouldn't be, oh no, look what's happening to these Russian journalists, in my personal opinion. All of this is Putin decided to make a very important stop right before going to Alaska, as he made an official trip to Magadan. This is a territory where he specifically wanted to visit the heroes of Aslib at the memorial, which symbolizes the cooperation between the USSR and the United States during World War II. As a lot of people are saying that him kind of paying respects to this monument commemorating the U.S.-Soviet kind of cooperation here is a good sign here, as this quote appears to invoke nostalgia for a time when Washington and Moscow have fought side by side, subtly suggesting that cooperation, not confrontation, is possible once again. As a lot of people are saying, this gesture here is definitely a soft, quote, power play designed to frame the upcoming talks in a spirit of, quote, historic unity. And a lot of that historic unity will, of course, be predominantly clear on economic partnerships, as Putin is bringing out a lot of business leaders. Now, Donald Trump predominantly is a big businessman. It's pretty clear here that Donald Trump has promised a lot of economic prosperity to Russia if they play ball with the United States and go along with what the United States, NATO, Europe, and Ukraine want as kind of a deal that could be made here. Now, the other reports that we're getting here, before getting into the kind of nitty-gritty of talking about sanctions, talking about funds being released from banks, before going into the aspects of who's going to be getting what, with a potential truce, we specifically just wanted to get into the little details here, as we got reports also of Putin clearing his schedule, as some people are expecting this meeting to go on a lot longer than expected, and they are expecting, quote, a marathon showdown between Putin and Trump, who, of course, will exclusively be meeting by themselves. Then they will bring in other officials to, of course, sit down, meet with them, as a lot of people are expecting this meeting to take a long time. Now, when will the press conference be afterwards? Well, that's what we're going to be waiting for. But what we could expect here is financial incentives offered by Putin, offered by Trump, relieving the sanctions, and talking about prosperous economic deals that probably will also involve rare earth minerals, which we know the Russians have a lot of, but they don't have the capabilities and the investment in order to mine. So I could probably practically see here a big kind of deal made here for some Russian resources in exchange for loosening up the sanctions and potentially even letting Russian gas and energy into Europe. A move that would be interesting to see if it would actually be made here, since, of course, that was previously discussed here. As we have this article from The Guardian that has a couple key points here about these bilateral cooperations and trade and economic type of deals here that will be made here. But before talking about that, and a lot more, we wanted to remind you how we pay the bills around here. And that, of course, is with things like wearechange.shop, a great shop, a shop where we have great things like fish oils, something that bear was probably going after in the beginning of this video, as fish oils are really good. And again, I'm a Slavic person that grew up in the north of Poland. We ate a lot of fish. Catholics eat a lot of fish. A lot of fish in America is just absolutely filled with parasites and mercury and heavy metals. That's why, and I'm like, listen, am I going to eat fish at a restaurant filled with all this nonsense, probably that was standing around and like transported all the way from China? And I'm like, nah, I'm okay. I'm going to take some fish oils that I know are from a trusted source, from sardines. I have it here on my desk. I can't recommend this stuff enough. I like it. I use it. I give it to my family members. I have a family member that still smokes. And I'm like, what are you doing? There's some really incredible studies between fish oils and smokers. Do your own research when taking anything into your own body. But a lot of the studies are pretty eye-opening, as, of course, omega-3 supplementation has also been shown in a recent study to slow biological aging, especially when combined with vitamin D and exercise, according to new clinical studies and research that's being done here, which highlights how, hey, taking care of yourself, being there for yourself as an adult is more important than ever. And I can't recommend enough you taking your health and your life seriously, as a lot of people don't do that. I don't know what you're doing. What are you doing, Karen? What's going on here? That makes no sense at all. Now, let's go back to this Guardian article before you get our wonderful supplements on wearechange.shop. As the article reads, key to Putin's message on Friday will be an appeal to Trump's business instincts. On Thursday, the Russian president advisor Yuri Yushchenko said that the leader would discuss the huge untapped potential in Russia-U.S. economic relations. The huge unpacked potential is, of course, Russia being a huge country with a lot of natural resources, a lot of energy resources. Now, if you're able to release a lot of those energy resources, you're able to lower the price of energy worldwide. If you're able to get a lot of those rare earth minerals, which China, by the way, is holding an embargo on during the whole tariff sanction war between the United States and China. One of the major strategic moves that China made that really angered Donald Trump in the United States and really rattled the U.S. economy was the kind of pausing of exports of rare earth minerals, which are important and key, especially when it comes to this kind of artificial intelligence, AI, technocratic takeover of the world. Russia has a lot of those resources, but they're untapped. Now, there probably will be a deal made here saying, hey, United States, you give us the ability to explore and get these rare earth minerals, and we, in exchange, will give you a cut of the portion here, and then we'll divvy up the profits ourselves here if you help us explore and get these rare earth minerals here. That's a possibility here, as rare earth minerals are something that Donald Trump is after. And we have seen that with the rare earth mineral deal that happened between Zelensky and Trump. Now, as Zelensky was playing hardball, Putin came in and said, hey, we got a bunch of rare earth minerals too. We'll make a deal. This is probably what's going to be discussed and debated and negotiated here in exchange for a more favorable outcome for the Russians here that have started this conflict. The article continues. An exchange of views is expected on further developing bilateral cooperation, including in the trade and economic sphere, Yushkov said. This cooperation has huge and unfortunately so far untapped potential. Notably, alongside a cadre of veteran diplomats, Putin is bringing two prominent economic advisors. The inclusion of the finance minister Atan Shulukhzov is particularly notable. He had led Russia's response to Western sanctions and removal of which the Kremlin has consistently set a key condition for any peace deal. Now, getting rid of the sanctions, giving back Russia the money that was frozen, that is going to be something that, of course, the Russians are going to be going after. Now, Trump is using oil tariff sanctions as a threat of leverage against the Russians here in this showdown. And I think we are going to be seeing, if this peace deal goes through, a lot of positive economic markers for the United States, for Russia, and potentially even the world here, if all plays out as it's designated to play out here. So far, the early type of meetings here are showing very favorable signs of cooperation here. And we are even seeing Sergei Lavrov release particular statements here, talking about how, quote, "We never make predictions ahead of time, but we have solid arguments. We have our own clear and comprehensible positions. We will present it here." Highlighting, okay, yeah, we're gonna talk. Not really much really given there. Trump now also doubled down and says, listen, if there's no deal here, there's going to be severe consequences, as Donald Trump has already started to sanction and go after a lot of Russian allies like India. Will he go after China? He hasn't done that yet. But India and China have been buying up a lot of the Russian energy resources and selling it on the international markets, where they only get a cut of the profit here. Now, what else could Donald Trump do here? Well, according to a lot of analysts, he's not in a good position, specifically with a lot of reports coming in, specifically highlighting how there are a lot of shortages with the American stockpile of munitions. Now, those reports have been officially said. Now they have been officially contradicted. Again, a lot of kind of weird positioning here, especially from the left here. The left right now is protesting a meeting that could bring peace, as the left now is arguing for more war. What? Ukraine and Alaska. Russia never again. What? What? Again, this is when the left just loses the plot here. As other reporters are saying, other just absolute asinine things, is people are angry that there's a prospect of and possibility of peace here. What the hell is wrong with these people? What? Here's a clip from CNN here.
We need to stand with Ukraine!
Goodness gracious, you demonic warmongerer. Like, did Lockheed Martin pay for this? Is this their DEI representative, new spokesperson here? Miss LaQuisha Jackson here. Ukraine! I'm like, wait, hold on here. If you really do stand for Ukraine, you want to stop this war. This is the progress that's being made here, where Trump is negotiating for Ukraine. And say what you may about Donald Trump here, he has been on both sides of the coin. And he has been putting maximum pressure on the Russians. There's no denying that. Why is this person as angry as she is? Like, okay, that's not really an argument here, as the details of exactly what's being negotiated still haven't even been released. Yay! Like, okay, look at this. Look at this character. Look at this. Pink-haired, vagina hat wearing, effeminate man.
Trump thinks he can negotiate anything. He can't negotiate himself out of a paper bag.
She probably was working on that one all night. Can't. What are you talking about? Trump's literal whole business is him negotiating good deals. Listen, I could disagree with some of his policies. I could disagree with some of the deals that he's made. I disagree with some of his foreign policy maneuvers. Yeah, but to say he's bad at making deals, that again, we're talking about extremely complex situations here that are unfolding right now that aren't the easiest to unwind here, ma'am. Okay. I don't think other warmonger. I don't think Biden would have done a better job here. I don't think Kamala would have done a better job here.
They are our allies. Russia is our enemy. Let's not get it twisted.
This is just grandstanding for Donald Trump. He likes to look good and think he's doing something, but he's not doing anything.
He's not doing anything, really? Like, the guy's taking time. And again, I disagreed with Trump with some of his maneuvers. He's taking time to fly to Alaska in order to sit down and negotiate a peace deal that will save the life of Ukrainians. Oh, bad. What?
And meeting with Putin is, actually, I don't know who's worse in terms of making a deal and not actually adhering to it.
How dare he try to make a deal here and save the Ukrainians? Again, there's also a New York Times reporter saying Trump is turning America into Putin's Airbnb. Again, all these people probably financed by the military-industrial complex, as Hillary Clinton, Hill Dog herself, came out and said she would nominate Trump for the Nobel Peace Prize if he helps end the war in Ukraine. What? Really? Did she say that? As of course, maybe there's like a uranium Russian deal that's still going through for good old Hill Dog. That's why maybe potentially she's saying this now. But otherwise, really, Hill Dog's coming out and saying this?
If President Trump were the architect of that, I'd nominate him for a Nobel Peace Prize.
We are on the precipice of a meeting between President Trump and President Putin in Alaska.
She's doing the weird.
Drawing on your experience as Secretary of State, if you were en route to Alaska, what would you be looking to get? What does an acceptable deal look like?
He is not meeting with a friend. He is meeting with an adversary, and an adversary who wants to see the destruction of the United States and the Western alliance. But if he could bring about the end to this terrible war where Putin is the aggressor, invading a neighbor country, trying to change the borders, if he could end it without putting Ukraine in a position where it had to concede its territory to the aggressor, had to, in a way, validate Putin's vision of greater Russia, but instead could really stand up to Putin to make it clear there must be a ceasefire, there will be no exchange of territory.
And here comes this kind of delusional rant of like, okay, really? Like, okay, we want this, and this, and Russia gets nothing. That's not the reality of the situation that we're living in. As, of course, Trump even said himself, there's going to be a deal here. There's going to be some land swapping here. And Zelensky's going to have to agree to it. Now, Zelensky's already making moves, buying up a lot of arms, buying up $1.6 billion of arms, going over to the United Kingdom, and trying to secure a situation where he could do this without the United States, quickly buying up as much as he can. It's still going to be up to Putin and Zelensky to make this deal here. What probably will be happening here is that Zelensky, Putin will be meeting, and this is where the real deal is going to be made here. We'll be meeting in person, shaking hands, signing the deal that Trump negotiates. Trump has been negotiating tough against Zelensky. He has been negotiating tough against Putin. Let's just be honest with ourselves here.
And that over a period of time, Putin should be actually withdrawing from the territory he seized in order to demonstrate good faith efforts, let us say, not to threaten European security. If President Trump were the architect of that, I'd nominate him for a Nobel Peace Prize.
Yeah, but that's not going to happen here. And, her words, especially with like, okay, now I'm going to tell you the list of things that I demand. Listen, those things are a little bit unpractical. And in my opinion, with the way that this conflict has been unfolding, with the way that this conflict has been going, as, right now, the Ukrainians aren't in the best of positions. Let's just be honest. And it sucks. But that's the reality of the situation. There's also now an explosion, which looks like a potential sabotage attack by the Ukrainians at a Russian factory that just took the life of 5 people, as this was a gunpowder factory. As a lot of people are saying, there could have been deliberate sabotage by the Ukrainians here. 20 people were injured, 10 of them seriously, and there was a huge explosion 100 miles southeast of Moscow. There's also the fact that Ukraine just sunk an Iranian cargo ship that had weapons going to Russia. As now people are saying Ukraine might be fighting Iran next, and the United States could be using Ukraine as a proxy to end the war with Russia, but they could start off by fighting Iran next. Listen, we're living in an ever so complicated geopolitical, crazy, wild situation. Trump is telling Zelensky he's going to get ready to sign something. Now, the next move, the real key situation, is to see the parameters of this deal and to see how Zelensky's going to respond here. Because I have a feeling Zelensky's going to say no, and then things are going to get very complicated. Then Donald Trump is going to push against Zelensky, and then the Russians are also going to do that with more aggressive military maneuvers. That's my prediction for it. I hope I'm wrong. I hope there's a deal. I hope everyone sits at the negotiation table. I hope everyone gets something, and I hope everyone loses something. That's the sign of a good negotiation. They all leave the table being like, okay, we got something. We have to give a little something, but we got something. All right, that's why Hillary Clinton's stance is just ridiculous here. You want to make sure you have an even-keeled type of negotiation here, not filled with emotions. I hope that happens. I hope there's economic prosperity for Ukraine, for Russia, for the United States, for the world. And I hope we can make peace and make money rather than war. If you agree, share this video. I can't thank you guys enough for supporting this independent media broadcast, for supporting my company, wearechange.shop, getting yourself some supplements. I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for you guys doing that. And this is why I love you guys. Stay tuned for more, all here exclusively on youtube.com/wearechange.